Today just to answer some of your questions, ideally put this in a proper place, because it was about telling our story in terms of what we're seeing as a police service and the impacts in terms of the crime rates that we are experiencing.
Okay, the quick question is what evidence do you have that, I've looked at the charts that you sent, but the people that you're arresting, are they from Fort McMurray? How do we know that they're from the north?
Absolutely not. What the comments are about is that we are experiencing a migration of individuals into the city. We always see that. It's a cross-section of people from all aspects of life. It's not one specific group over another.
Okay, but the north seems to have been blamed, is the question.
No, you know what? I read what the chief said. We are a hub city for the north, not only northern Alberta, northern Canada, northern BC, northern Saskatchewan. We see a lot of migration from various parts of the country into Edmonton because of the services that this community offers, and that's one of the impacts we have as a result of the size and what we do offer as a community.
What sort of crimes?
Well, we're seeing mainly property crimes are the biggest impact we're seeing across the board. I think we're up about 18+% at this point this morning. And the other thing is violent crimes. We're seeing an increase also in violent crimes.
Property crime, theft from auto, break-ins?
Absolutely. Commercial robberies. And a lot of those crimes in the policing environment relate back to drug usage in terms of our experience.
How can you say for certain that the two are linked?
No, we're saying that we saw these as observations. We're talking police experience. When we look at our analytics, we see factors that impact us. We look at our stats, and that's one piece of it. We also look at the population growth. We look at the economic impacts. We look at who we see moving into the community. All these factors are taken into consideration. And we look at those. We have some hard numbers, but we also have observations, we have experiences, and we make comments based on those generalities.
What are some of the numbers you have?
Well, yeah, we've already demonstrated, like as of this morning, we're up 8.2%, almost 9,800 calls for service over last year at the same time. And last year, when we finished our year out, we had about 4,200 more calls for service. And in the last 3 to 4 years, we're seeing a significant increase in those calls.
So if we're seeing this over 3 or 4 years, how is that linked to oil prices?
It's not linked to oil prices. It's linked to the change in the economy that we experience in Alberta. This has been an Alberta experience for a long time. I was a police officer a long time ago in northern Alberta in the 80s, and I remember policing in a busy environment. I watched it go from busy to tumbleweeds in the street, and then a few weeks later it got busy with a different dynamics in terms of the crime we experienced. It's an Alberta reality because of our economy.
Are any of the northern communities facing the same issues Edmonton is? Do you know?
I can't speak for the northern communities, but we are seeing generally in a lot of policing areas that there is an impact in Alberta.
In 2011, Edmonton had quite a few homicides, yet the economy appeared to be really stable. What do you have to say to that?
That was a one-year piece that we saw. There's a lot of factors that go in that. I don't have any answer for that.
In 2009, during the last economic downturn, crime rates, especially in downtown Edmonton, were actually down. So what's different about this economic climate than that one?
I don't have specifics in front of me around 2009, but what I can tell you is we apply certain methodologies to crime management, and we know what that looks like in terms of what we see for crime and the number of officers we put to work dealing with that crime management. And when we see that change, we do see an impact in numbers, absolutely.
So what needs to happen so history doesn't repeat itself? So we don't go through this situation in 5 years from now?
Well, I'd like to control history. I don't. Our whole goal here is just telling the community. We have people waiting a day or two sometimes for the officers to respond to calls. Our goal is to tell the story, explain what we're experiencing, and just not to offer excuses, but just to make sure the public's in tune with what we see as a police service and to go from there.